What if I told you the fastest way to feel richer is to stop buying things? Because the system needs you buying in order to stay in control. This is the Buy Nothing Rebellion, and it's spreading quietly. This isn't about living with nothing. It's about choosing less on purpose. When I was in my 20s and 30s, I was sucked into that system. Once I understood the system that was in place, it completely changed my view when it came to money, ownership, and control. But to understand why people are doing this now, we need to talk about how buying things felt like a requirement all these decades and not a choice. So as many of you know, the United States is the largest consumer market. I mean, we spend more on goods and services than any other nation on the planet. And there are 3 reasons why. 1, high disposable income. Number 2, after World War II, we were actually considered a consumer republic culture. So get this, mass consumption became a civic duty and the primary engine for prosperity in this nation. And the third is the easy access to credit. This all requires a thriving middle class in order for this engine to continue to operate. So where did the Buy Nothing Rebellion start? It actually started a little over 10 years ago in the year 2013 on an island in Washington. I imagine when you have an island and you probably have the community there, they're very tight knit. What they actually endorsed was for the neighborhood to share rather than buy. And that would make sense. So I imagine, let's say a neighbor saying, I need a pan. And you have another neighbor saying, hey, you know what? I actually have a pan that I'm not using anymore. You could actually have it. And so these neighbors would either trade amongst each other or share. It grew into a movement because they said instead of resorting to buying from a store or from a big corporation, they said, let's just share within our community. And that actually helped in so many ways. Obviously, it helped with people saving money. It also reduced waste, and that movement began to spread. Then you add social media like Facebook groups. You could see that these groups were starting to sprout all throughout the United States and even the world. So that's how this movement got its start. But over the past couple of years, the term movement seemed to have shifted more to a rebellion. The very definition of the Buy Nothing movement or rebellion, I would say, has tweaked over the years. There are many different interpretations of exactly what it is and what it stands for, but these are the main points that tend to stand out with everyone's interpretation. Number 1, it replaces shopping with sharing, borrowing, repairing, and gifting. Number 2, it rebuilds the local community and reduces waste. Number 3, it rejects corporations as the default, or basically just going to buy online or buy from a business. It's choosing not to buy things unless you truly need to. The next one is people are tired of working more, getting into debt over low quality junk that breaks easily or is considered the latest and greatest. And lastly, the biggest standout that coined this rebellion is breaking free from the system of endless consumption. We have seen the middle class just really getting squeezed when it came to their money, their savings. They're starting to get loaded with credit card debt. And because of all that pressure, you just see the middle class saying, we are not buying stuff anymore. They don't want to buy junk anymore. And I would say in the past 5 to 10 years, we've been so bombarded to spend, it really just started to make people crack. Because I believe there are 2 main things that have got us to this tipping point. And number 1 are these. The phone. I mean, right when we pick this thing up, if we go on social media, we may see a friend or perhaps a stranger that we're following buying something, going somewhere, just living a certain way. And it might give that sense of FOMO or the notion of, you know what, they own that, maybe I need to own that too. The feeling of fitting in. And so it pushes so many people to buy, and that's where the debt really starts to grow. So again, it's what we're exposed to, not just through social media, but also these targeted ads. I mean, goodness, they have like pinpoint accuracy. I remember when I was just talking to my wife not too long ago saying, yeah, I think I need to buy some more socks. All of a sudden, when I go online, I'm seeing ad after ad when it comes to socks. Man, this phone got ears, it can hear me, and all of a sudden, for days, It's like it wouldn't stop showing me ads until I finally bought a pair of socks. These targeted ads of making us feel this need to spend. And then the second thing is the inflation, if not, maybe we should call it even greedflation. In the past 3 years, we have seen inflation just go crazy. Even at one of the quarters showed a 9% increase, when keep in mind, inflation should only be going up 2 to 3% a year. But the greedflation, I would say, really pushed people's buttons. Man, the price of fast food, I was looking at McDonald's and the Big Mac value meal. I don't know if you can call that a value. It was averaging around 10 bucks, even some places going up to $18. It's insane. You could actually go to a restaurant, you could go to Red Robin and their meal is cheaper. People reached their limits. It's to the point where the CEO of McDonald's even had to make a statement. And we saw this year, they are now revamping their menu, actually providing certain deals. So we're seeing it there, but there's one other place, and that is Las Vegas, the actual strip itself. There was article after article how much things have gone up. A bottle of water was pushing $24. Could we call that greedflation? I mean, how much is a bottle of water supposed to cost? We even saw the CEOs of some of these major casinos giving their statement and also revamping. As you can see with the consumers, we've had enough. And I think that's what's really pushing the rebellion. Even when it came to the holidays, Gen Z pushed back, saying with Christmas, Black Friday, they're like, nah, we are seeing the consumerism come down. People are sick and tired of also buying junk. I'm sure if you notice, the quality of goods is just not the same. I bought a filing cabinet a couple years ago and I spent some good money on it. That thing broke on me like 3 times. The quality of the parts that makes these goods just seem to get cheaper and cheaper. And when you see now tariffs coming into effect, I think that would either push these goods to either go up in price, or they're gonna just use even cheaper parts. And the goods were already kind of had cheap parts to begin with. We are seeing this rebellion going into full effect. Where is it gonna go from here? It is the middle class that will fuel the direction of where this is going. We can see right now that the government is really trying to dial back interest rates, whether it be with credit cards or even the federal funds rate. I mean, it's to the point where the president is trying to get rid of the Fed chair to bring in a new Fed chair to just push the interest rates down. The government is seeing that the middle class needs their buying power to increase. If buying power increases, it's safe to say that this rebellion will simmer down because people will get back to consuming. But over the next couple years, if the middle class continues to get squeezed more and more, I think this rebellion's only just gonna be taken to another level. But let's just say, regardless if times do get better for the middle class or things get worse, one thing I believe is for certain is to scale back the notion of overconsumption. The bottom line for me is that I'm actually a really big fan of the movement. I can't quite consider myself a minimalist, even though I would say a lot of people driving this rebellion tend to be minimalist, but you don't have to be a minimalist to dial back on certain things. I wouldn't say that I'm also a materialist or an over-consumer. In my younger years, in my 20s and 30s, I probably bought more things than I should have, but that's what getting older is all about. I made conscious effort to dial it back. There are 2 sides to this spectrum here. There is the massive overconsumption, but then there's also, let's say, really being deep in terms of just not buying anything. If you have been researching when it comes to, let's say, the World Economic Forum and what the global powers are doing, they also have what's known as their agenda. They call it Agenda 2030. And in the agenda, the first thing that has been noted is you will own nothing and be happy. Massive overconsumption could lead to heavy debt, financial burden. On the flip side, if we're saying, nope, we're gonna go very extreme and just not own anything, they kind of win on that agenda too, because their whole goal is for people to not want to own anything.
Why do you want to own a cell phone if you can just lease it? And if you lease, why shouldn't you lease your refrigerator or your washing machine or your dishwasher or Why do you want to own it?
Literally everything will be rented. Now, why is it important when it comes to ownership? Because if you look at the people who are well-to-do or wealthy, I'm not even talking about billionaires. Some people want to be like, oh, the hyper rich. No. I'm talking about perhaps the wealthy person or the rich person that lives in your neighborhood. They know when it comes to storing, if not gaining wealth, it's really about owning things. And there is a saying of follow the money. And if you notice, the wealthy people, they're really looking to things to buy. This is my thoughts of the entire situation at hand. Bottom line, regardless of times getting good or bad, it's really about finding a balance when it comes to spending, the things that we buy. I personally don't want to buy junk. I don't want to buy low quality things. But if there is something that, let's say, I do want to buy, because as I mentioned, I don't consider myself necessarily a minimalist, I want to make sure that I thoroughly will enjoy what it is that I'm buying. So one thing I tell people is, if there's something that you want to buy, will you still buy it if you know you can never make a social media post on it? Or a picture with you having it? Would you still buy it? It's funny that I say that because I'm sure some of us here be like, yeah, it's not a big deal. You'd be surprised, for some people it is a big deal. But again, it's this notion of, if you're buying it, you're buying in a way where you're gaining ground with your finances and not losing ground, not slowly going broke. The second thing is getting out of debt if you are in debt or if you're heavily in debt, because I just think times are getting kind of weird. And over the next 3 to 4 years, it's really about doing what you can. It's not even just about gaining wealth. It's about preserving your lifestyle, if not just getting lifestyle maybe 20 to 30% better than what it is. But then lastly, third is building up your nest egg. If you have buying power, buy things that you can enjoy and may even go up in value. And I noticed that's what wealthy people tend to do. Their toys tend to hold value, if not go up in value. But as I said, it's about doing the homework and being intentional. So at this point, I feel we are at a pivotal moment when it comes to the middle class. Now remember, the middle class holds the majority of the buying power, and we are the largest consumer nation. Do you feel that this rebellion just gonna continue to pick up steam and just get full scale aggressive? Or do you think it'll fizzle out? Perhaps maybe it's a fad. What are your thoughts on all this? Definitely drop a comment. And also, if you felt this video was helpful, I would appreciate it if you like, subscribe, even hit the bell icon, and I look forward to the next video.